Success doesn't respond to feelings, it responds to decisions backed by consistent, disciplined action, even when motivation disappears. That's the truth most people avoid because it doesn't feel good to hear. Feelings are real, yes, but they are also unreliable. One day you're inspired, the next day you're drained. One moment you're fired up, the next you're filled with doubt. If your progress depends on how you feel, then your future will always be held hostage by your emotions. You have to come to a point where you stop letting emotions drive the car and start letting discipline take the wheel. You can feel tired and still work. You can feel discouraged and still move. You can feel uninspired and still produce results. That's the separation point between average and exceptional decisions over emotions. It's easy to get started. Everyone loves the excitement of starting something new. That first burst of energy, that vision of the outcome, that spark of motivation. But what happens when the newness wears off? What happens when progress feels slow? When resistance shows up? When you don't see immediate results? That's when most people quit. Not because they can't, but because they don't feel like it anymore. Their energy runs out. Their emotions go flat. And because they've trained themselves to move only when they're in the mood, they stall out. Then they tell themselves stories like, maybe it wasn't the right time, or maybe it just wasn't for me. But none of that is true. The truth is, they didn't lack talent. They lacked consistency. They lacked the discipline to keep going when it stopped being exciting. Success doesn't respond to your excitement. It responds to your endurance. It doesn't care how loud you shout on day one. It checks how quietly you grind on day 100. You're not rewarded for how passionately you start. You're rewarded for how persistently you continue. And that's where decisions come in. A decision is a commitment made in the presence of pressure. It's the internal contract you sign with yourself that says, no matter how I feel tomorrow, I will follow through. When you stop letting feelings dictate your follow through, you take your power back. You no longer wake up asking, do I feel like doing this? Instead, you wake up saying, if I already decided I'm doing it, that kind of mindset is rare. But it's also the mindset that wins. When you look at high performers in any field, business, athletics, leadership, anything, you'll find that they don't rely on bursts of motivation. They've trained themselves to take action regardless of mood. They've wired their discipline so deep that showing up is just part of who they are. It's automatic. They don't wake up wondering if today will be a good day to perform. They've already decided that every day is a performance day. You have to build that same identity. You have to wake up each day and execute the plan, not based on how you feel in the moment, but based on who you've chosen to become. Your feelings will fight you. Your mind will throw distractions at you. Your body will want to take the easy way out. But you have to be louder than all of that, not with hype, but with habits. You see, emotion fades, but habits stick. And here's the hard truth. No one's coming to save you. No one's going to show up every day and beg you to be great. No one's going to drag you to the gym or push you to build that business or make you stay up late studying your craft. That's on you. It always has been. So what's the strategy? You make a decision. You make it once. And then you protect it daily with disciplined action. You stop making excuses. You stop waiting for the right mood. You stop delaying until the conditions feel perfect. Because here's the thing. If you only take action when it's easy, you'll never get far. Growth doesn't happen in ease. It happens in resistance. And consistency is your greatest weapon in the battle against resistance. Let this be the shift. You are no longer led by how you feel. You are led by who you've decided to become. Your decisions carry more weight than your emotions. Your commitment has more value than your comfort. And your discipline matters more than your mood. Because success isn't given to those who feel good about the journey. It's given to those who keep moving forward, even when they don't. Growth is reserved for those who keep showing up daily, regardless of applause, recognition, or immediate results. That's the line in the sand, where the real ones get separated from the wishers. Everyone wants to grow. Everyone says they want to level up, become more, do more, have more. But few people are willing to walk the path that growth requires. Why? Because it's not glamorous. It's not public. It doesn't come with a crowd cheering you on. Growth, real growth, happens in silence. It happens in the unseen hours. It happens when nobody's watching, and you show up anyway. See, most people are addicted to validation. They want to be seen. They want to be celebrated. They want a round of applause just for starting. But growth doesn't care about your need to be noticed. Growth doesn't show up just because you showed up once. Growth is the reward given to those who have the humility to do the work in obscurity. You have to understand, there are no shortcuts. There's no such thing as overnight success. That's a lie the internet sells to people who don't want to put in the time. Real elevation happens inch by inch, day by day, decision by decision. It's slow. It's hard. And most of all, it's quiet. But that's where transformation begins. You want to get better. Then you better get used to doing the work when nobody cares. You better get used to practicing when no one's watching. You better learn how to keep grinding when there's no instant payoff, no public praise, and no external reward. Because the ones who grow are the ones who endure. There are going to be days when you question yourself. When your effort feels like it's going unnoticed. When your sacrifices don't seem to be producing results. And that's exactly where most people quit. But what you have to realize is those are the most critical moments. Those are the growth moments. That's where your future is being built. Anyone can show up when it's exciting. Anyone can post when they're being praised. Anyone can talk about success when everything's going well. But can you stay consistent when the progress is invisible? Can you stay committed when the journey is lonely? Can you keep building when the applause has faded and all that's left is your own willpower? Because that's where the difference is made. You have to stop needing external proof to validate your internal process. Just because the results aren't immediate, it doesn't mean the work isn't working. Seeds grow underground long before they break the surface. And if you dig them up every day to check if they're growing, you'll kill what you're trying to cultivate. You've got to trust the process. You've got to trust that every rep, every late night, every quiet effort is stacking up, even if you can't see it yet. Growth doesn't always announce itself. It sneaks up on you. One day, you'll look back and realize the compound effect of those small, consistent efforts. But only if you keep going. And understand this, nobody owes you encouragement. Nobody is obligated to cheer you on. If they do, that's great. But if they don't, you still move. You still grow. You still build. Because you've made the decision to become more. Not for applause. Not for validation. But because that version of you is worth becoming. The people who grow the most are the ones who learn how to become self-accountable. They don't rely on praise. They rely on principles. They don't wait for permission. They operate from purpose. They don't ask, Is anybody watching? They ask, what am I building? You don't need a stage to develop your gift. You need discipline. You don't need a spotlight to grow. You need consistency. You don't need likes or shares. You need to show up, do the work, and keep your eyes on the mission. Growth demands maturity. Maturity to keep planting even when the ground looks barren. Maturity to keep moving even when motivation fades. Maturity to stay focused even when distractions are loud. That's what separates the ones who talk about change from the ones who actually experience it.